Newly elected and inaugurated President of the United States, Donald J. Trump has made some staff changes to the leadership over at the FCC. So who are these new leaders, and could this possibly affect amateur radio, or do we even know yet? Today on KI5IRE Ham Radio. President Donald Trump and Vice President JD Vance were both sworn into office on Monday, January 20th of 2025. And along with their new presidential administration also comes some changes to the FCC leadership as well. And I'm going to try my best not to get too political in this video because, well, you didn't come here to listen to me talk about politics. You came here to hear me talk about ham radio, so I'm going to try to stick just to the facts in this video. And the hobby of amateur radio is where a lot of us try to come to get away from politics, especially after these past 4 years. So now with that said, let's jump into the video. On November 17th of 2024, then President-elect Donald Trump announced the nomination of then FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr to lead the FCC as the new FCC Chairman. Chairman Carr replaces the former Biden-appointed FCC Chairwoman Jessica Roselworcsel, who former President Joe Biden appointed to lead the FCC in October of 2021. In a statement released on October 26 of 2021 regarding the designation of former Chairwoman Roselworcsel to serve as the chair of the FCC said, quote, "She," meaning Roselworcsel, "is the first woman to be named to this position in the agency's almost 100-year history." And just to add some context about the former Chairwoman Roselworcsel, who has now been replaced by Trump's appointment, Brendan Carr, in the same statement announcing the former Chairwoman's appointment in 2021, the FCC said the following. In her time at the Commission, Roselworcsel has worked to promote greater opportunity, accessibility, and affordability in our communication services in order to ensure that all Americans get a fair shot at 21st century success. From fighting to protect an open internet to ensuring broadband access for students caught in the homework gap through the FCC's Emergency Connectivity Fund to making sure that households struggling to afford internet service stay connected through the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program. She has been a champion for connectivity for all. She is a leader in spectrum policy, developing new ways to support wireless services from Wi-Fi to video and the Internet of Things. She has fought to combat illegal robocalls and enhance consumer protections in our telecommunications policies. Prior to joining the agency, she served as Senior Communications Counsel for the United States Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation under the leadership of Senator John D. Rockefeller IV and Senator Daniel Inouye. Before entering public service, Jessica practiced communications law. She lives in Washington, D.C. with her 2 children and her husband, who is counsel at a national law firm. With this announcement, he will be taking a leave of absence from the firm. So that was the background on the former chairwoman. And also want to highlight this as well. On November 21st of 2024, just a few days after Trump announced the nomination of Brendan Carr as chairman of the FCC, now former chairwoman Roselworcsel announced her departure from the FCC effective January 20th of 2025, which was Inauguration Day. Her statement read in part, "Serving at the Federal Communications Commission has been the honor of a lifetime, especially my tenure as chair and the first woman in history to be confirmed to lead this agency. I want to thank President Biden for entrusting me with the responsibility to guide the FCC during a time when communications technology is a part of every aspect of civic and commercial life. Taking the oath of office on the street outside of the agency during the height of the pandemic, when so much of our day-to-day moved online, made clear how important the work of the FCC is and how essential it is for us to build a digital future that works for everyone." She also said, quote, "I am proud to have served at the FCC alongside some of the hardest working and dedicated public servants I've ever known. Together we accomplished seemingly impossible feats like setting up the largest broadband affordability program in history, which led us to connecting more than 23 million households to high-speed internet, connecting more than 17 million students caught in the homework gap to hotspots and other devices as learning moved online, putting national security and public safety matters with communications front and center before the agency, and launching the first ever space bureau to support United States leadership and the new space age." And now back to the statement from President Trump announcing the appointment of Brendan Carr. In Trump's statement on November 17th of 2024 regarding the appointment of the new FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, he said in part, "Commissioner Carr currently serves as the senior Republican on the FCC. Before that, he was the FCC's general counsel. I first nominated Commissioner Carr to the FCC in 2017, and he has been confirmed unanimously by the United States Senate 3 times. His current term runs through 2029, and because of his great work, I will now be designating him as permanent chairman. He then goes on to say, Commissioner Carr is a warrior for free speech and has fought against the regulatory lawfare that has stifled Americans' freedoms and held back our economy. He will end the regulatory onslaught that has been crippling America's job creators and innovators and ensure that the FCC delivers for rural America. And then he went into the background of the then Commissioner Brendan Carr. Commissioner Carr has served at the FCC since 2012, including as an advisor to the FCC Chairman, Ajit Pai. Earlier in his career, Commissioner Carr worked as an attorney specializing in appellate, litigation, and regulatory matters. Previously, Commissioner Carr clerked on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit for Judge Dennis Shedd, and after attending Georgetown University for his undergrad, Commissioner Carr earned his JD magna cum laude from the Catholic University of America's Columbus School of Law, where he served as an editor of the Catholic University Law Review. Congratulations to Chairman Brendan Carr on a job well done. Lead us into a great future, Brendan. And then on January 16th, President Trump also posted the following nomination to Truth Social. I am pleased to announce that Olivia Trusty will serve as a commissioner on the Federal Communications Commission, FCC. Olivia is currently the policy director on the United States Senate Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation, where she has fought tirelessly to grow the economy, empower innovation, and reignite the American dream. She is a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and Georgetown University. Olivia will work with our incredible new chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, to cut regulations at a record pace, protect free speech, and ensure every American has access to affordable and fast internet. Congratulations, Olivia. So along with these two appointments made by President Trump, some other leadership changes have been made at the FCC as well. On Tuesday, January 21st, in a news release, Chairman Carr announced several new staff appointments within the FCC. Chairman Carr issued the following statement regarding these appointments within the FCC. I am honored that this talented team has agreed to join me in leading the FCC and ensuring that we deliver great results for the American people. They bring a broad range of legal and policy expertise to their jobs and to the agency. I look forward to drawing on their counsel and advice, and I am eager to get work done alongside of them, my commission colleagues, and the agency's accomplished career staff. The staff appointments are as follows. Scott Delacourt, appointed to Chief of Staff for the Federal Communications Commission. Greg Watson, appointed to Chief of Staff for the Office of Chairman Carr. Arpan Sura, appointed to Senior Counsel, Spectrum and Technology. Danielle Thuman, appointed to Senior Counsel, Wireline, Public Safety, and Consumer Protection. Aaron Boone, appointed to Senior Counsel, Media and Enforcement. Adam Chan, appointed to National Security Council. Anthony Petrone, appointed to Legal Advisor. Kelly Coker, appointed to Legal Advisor. Matt Meidelstadt, appointed to Director, Office of Legislative Affairs. Stephanie Chambliss, appointed to Special Counsel, Office of the General Counsel. Andrea Johnson, appointed to Confidential Assistant. And in the same statement announcing these new staff appointments, it was also noted that additional staff appointments will follow. And additional staff announcements did in fact follow. On Wednesday, January 2nd, Chairman Carr announced several additional appointments to leadership positions within the FCC. He said in this statement, I'm grateful that these talented public servants have agreed to join me in leading the FCC's work and ensuring that we deliver great results for the American people. They will play integral roles in carrying out the FCC's important mission. I look forward to drawing on their counsel and advice, and I am eager to continue our work together. Wednesday's appointments are as follows. Joel Taubenblatt, appointed to Acting Chief of the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau. Trent Harkrader, appointed to Acting Chief of the Wireline Competition Bureau. Aaron Boone, who is also appointed to Senior Counsel, Media Enforcement, appointed to Acting Chief of the Media Bureau. Deborah Jordan, appointed to Acting Chief of the Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau. Jacob Lewis, appointed to Acting General Counsel. Patrick Weber, appointed to Acting Chief of the Enforcement Bureau. Edward Bartholomew, appointed to Acting Chief of the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau. And Mark Stevens, appointed to Managing Director. Now, a lot of appointments have been made the past few days, and it would take at least an hour to go through all the backgrounds of each of the people who has been appointed to these various positions. So for now, I'm just going to stick to the backgrounds of Brendan Carr and Olivia Trusty, the two who President Donald Trump nominated himself. I also have no clue what most of these positions even do, but I guess we'll find out eventually. And if you were interested in reading into these appointees' backgrounds, I'll leave a link to each of these statements down in the description below. By the way, I did search each of these appointees' names in the Universal Licensing Database to see if any of them hold an amateur radio license, but I did not see any active licenses listed for any of them, or at least any that I could verify to be active actually them. So what could this leadership change mean for amateur radio? Well, to be honest, we really don't know just yet. And really, this new leadership change at the FCC is just getting started. So I'd imagine the first little while is just going to be a lot of announcements of internal changes within the FCC, like policies and stuff like that, which is what we've been seeing the past few days. Then eventually we'll probably start to actually see them do some things like adding and removing some different regulations to the various different communication services that the FCC regulates. And some of those regulations could potentially actually be geared toward the amateur radio service, or they may not be. And that is actually why I have actually reached out to Chairman Carr's press team and the FCC to ask if there could be any new changes coming eventually to the amateur radio services in terms of things like regulations or licensing. But as of the filming of this video, which is January 23rd of 2025, I have not yet heard back. And if and when I do hear back from them, I will be sure to share it with all of you guys right here. But again, the announcements the past few days have just mostly been announcements of changes in staff and policy changes within the FCC itself. Announcements of things like ending the promotion of diversity, equity, and inclusion within the FCC. On Tuesday, January 21st of 2025, the FCC announced, quote, Chairman Carr ends FCC's promotion of DEI, end quote. In a statement, the FCC said, quote, yesterday, President Trump issued an executive order titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing. Today, pursuant to the policy stated in the executive order, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr announced that he is ending the FCC's promotion of DEI. Chairman Carr will focus the agency's work on completely carrying out the Commission's statutory mission as defined by Congress without promoting invidious forms of discrimination. In the same statement, Chairman Carr said in part, quote, today I am announcing that I am ending the FCC's promotion of DEI and will focus on the agency's work on completely carrying out the FCC's mission as defined by Congress. He goes on to say, here is what I am doing. And in bullet points, he says eliminating the promotion of DEI from the FCC's strategic plan. Starting out the Biden administration, FCC leadership added the promotion of DEI to the Commission's strategic plan, listing it as the FCC's second highest strategic priority. Promoting DEI will no longer be any part of the FCC's strategic plans going forward. Eliminating the promotion of DEI from the FCC's budget. Starting during the Biden administration, the FCC's annual budget request to Congress stated that the FCC would use its appropriated funds to promote DEI. Promoting DEI will no longer be any part of the FCC's budget request going forward. Eliminating the FCC's DEI advisory group. As a chairman of the FCC, I have concluded that the work of the FCC's Communications, Equity, and Diversity Council is complete. This advisory group will therefore terminate pursuant to Section 10 of its charter, rescinding the FCC's DEI Equity Action Plan. In 2022, the FCC published an Equity Action Plan that promotes DEI. This equity plan will be rescinded, ending the FCC's DEI task force. In 2022, the FCC leadership formed a cross-agency group named the Digital Discrimination Task Force. I will ensure that this group and its work ends. Eliminating DEI from the FCC's Advisory Committee Directive. In 2023, the FCC issued a directive that tasked each of the FCC's advisory committees with promoting DEI. This DEI portion of the 2023 directive will be revoked. Eliminating the promotion of DEI from the FCC's annual performance plans. Starting during the Biden administration, FCC leadership added the promotion of DEI to the Commission's annual performance plans. Promoting DEI will no longer be any part of the FCC's performance plans going forward. And finally, eliminating DEI analysis from the FCC economic reports. During the Biden administration, the Commission's economic reports, including the FCC's Section 706 and its communications marketplace reports, started to focus on the promotion of DEI rather than hewing to the tasks laid out by Congress for those reports. Promoting DEI will no longer be any part of the FCC's reports. And then after those bullet points, he says, in addition to the steps I have listed here, the Commission will take further actions as necessary and appropriate to ensure that the FCC's promotion of DEI ends, including consulting and coordinating with other agencies. The FCC will focus on completely carrying out the agency's statutory mission. So just as I start to close, here are some of my personal opinions on these FCC leadership changes. Even if this new leadership at the FCC does not bring any new changes directly to the amateur radio service, it does appear to me that this new leadership is very much pro-free speech, which is a good thing for all Americans regardless of what platform you're using, whether it's social media, broadcasting, or even amateur radio. And also, it does appear to me that the new leadership over at the FCC has a vision very similar to that of President Donald Trump and his vision for the country, and working to rid the country and the FCC of policies like DEI, also known as diversity, equity, and inclusion, and bring its focus on more important issues instead. I mean, after all, President Trump did appoint Chairman Carr to lead the FCC, so I'd say it's probably safe to say Carr's vision for the FCC will most likely be very, very much in line with President Trump's vision for the country as a whole. And also, I just kind of hope that with bringing an end to programs like DEI within the FCC, they will start to focus on more important issues like making the FCC website and the ULS database more efficient and modern, and just streamlining some of the current policies that just feel super inefficient related to amateur radio. And a lot of that just kind of revolves around licensing and just kind of, you know, waiting on licenses for a kind of, I think, a ridiculous amount of time. All that kind of stuff. Really, the website, I think, is the biggest thing, because the ULS is just awful and it just feels like it's stuck in 1990. So yeah, that's just kind of what I hope to see out of this new leadership over at the FCC. It just kind of sounds to me like they were not really focused on the right things, and that's kind of why we didn't see a whole lot of great amateur radio legislation come out, I think, was they weren't really focused on anything really important. Personally, I don't think DEI and things like that really matters too much. I don't think that's really something that the FCC should be focusing on, but that's just my own personal view on that. I'm eager to see if maybe there's some new policy changes coming down the line at some point, maybe now that they are focusing on things that are a little bit more important, that, you know, maybe we can get some policies that us, the amateur radio operators, have been asking for a little bit, but we'll see what happens with this new leadership. And really, I just want to make this video because I think it's just kind of interesting, all the different leadership changes with the new presidential administration coming in. I honestly did not realize how heavily politicized things like the FCC have become. I don't know if this is just something recent or if it's always been this way, but I just thought that was very interesting how much changes are going to be coming to the FCC right now after this transition period of this new presidential administration, and really it seems like in the next foreseeable future. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of highlight that. And also, with new leadership changes over at the FCC, that just means that there's new leadership in office, that ambassadors to amateur radio like the ARRL and all those sorts of organizations that work closely with the FCC in terms of legislation and standing up for amateur radio operators, more new people that they have to work with and learn who they are. And that is all I have for y'all today. So what do you think about these new leadership changes over at the FCC? What changes do you hope to see from this new leadership? And maybe even what changes do you hope the FCC will implement that might benefit ham radio? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when I upload new videos. All those things just help this video reach more people, and that is the best way to support this channel. Until next time, guys, 73.